myself, guys, Vidit, and I'll be your instructor for this whole journey. Starting course date is 17th of December, and it will be weekend classes, and the whole batch will be English. And we will be starting first with F5 LTM, then GTM. It's a combo batch, guys, and it's a live batch. And about me, guys, I've been working in this industry from last 15 years, and I have already been working in all this relevant experience LTM, GTM, ASM, APM from last 10 years. And I'm already certified in this technology. So I have vast area of experience about working, how the field is, how the industry is. So slowly I will tell you. And this batch I will be starting first with F5 LTM, guys. And once it's get finished, I will be covering GTM, which is also called DNS nowadays, domain name system. So I will be proceeding further, like about the course agenda and what are the facilities which are giving in this. Then I will start with your lab setup and all the things. So guys, in this training, total duration will be 40 hour plus, which I told you, like first LTM will be starting and then GTM will start. And you will be getting lifetime interview support. You can call me Monday to Friday, 7 to 8 for extra doubt sessions also, guys. Timing would be from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. IST. And it's a weekend class in English. Plus, guys, after every class, you will be getting our recorded videos. And guys, lab setup, if you don't have enough resources, we will be doing your lab in Google Cloud. If you have resources, guys, you can do it. There is no need to invest on your rental lab. So either you can do on your laptop or either you can do your labs on Google Cloud, which I will show you like how you can build it from day one. So my whole class will be lectures plus lab. And my strategy would be like after every topic, I will be taking your Q&A. Plus guys, after every concepts, we will also discuss about practical approach. What are your architecture flow? How LTM is deployed in market and why GTM came into picture. What are the deployment strategies? So guys, if you are in network industry and you are doing routing switching, plus you are from CCNA background, or let's say someone is new to security. So trust me guys, load balancer is must nowadays. Every company wants a load balancer. It's not like that you are good in routing switching, that's it. So nowadays, every company wants multi-technology engineers. So I'm here, guys, and I guarantee you that if you did do this training, you can check our feedback on our websites and YouTube channel for more videos. I can guarantee that you can work in production environment, plus you can crack any interview in market. Plus, guys, after completing training, you will get certificate after completion. So that some people say that I need to represent in company, that also you will get it. So let's go further on. So guys, pre-request, what are the pre-request for this training? Like who can attend this training, guys? Whether it's LTM or GTM. So guys, you just need a knowledge of OSI layer, just a network knowledge. That's it. Nothing else you required. So first, anyways, we will be starting LTM. So to learn GTM, you should have basic knowledge of LTM and the network configuration, guys. And speaking about me, guys, I've been working in this industry from last 15 years, which I told you, and I will be covering concepts from basics. It's not an advanced training. It's not like that. We will start from basics and we will be covering advanced. We will be covering troubleshooting scenarios, labs, and everything. And guys, To learn LTM, what are the prerequisites? For LTM, guys, you should just have knowledge of networking. Even networking also, if I say, you should have just knowledge of VLANs plus little bit on switching part. Like you should know what is interface, what is VLANs. Plus, guys, if you have little bit knowledge on DNS, how DNS works, that would also help. And what are the takeaway from this class, guys? Many people say that why should I attend training from us, which I told you guys. First, I give you granted interview clearance. That is my granted. Second thing, guys, I will be having your extra support for any doubts. See, you can buy videos also, same facilities. You can call me Monday to Friday, 7 to 8. Plus, guys, you don't require anything for lab. Either I will set up your lab in your laptop, or either you can set up a lab in Google Cloud. It will take only 30 minutes. You just require a credit card or debit card with international transactions. That's it. Other than that, you don't require anything, guys. So this was all about the students. Now, guys, what are your expectations? From previous experience, there are some expectations of students from this training. Can they ask questions even after term completion of training? Yes, guys. You can, we will have separate WhatsApp group where you can ask your question also. And it's not like that, it's for 1 month, 2 months, it's lifetime. Plus, guides, can I complete the lab? This is the expectation of students. Will I make able to make a lab? Do we have enough resources, guys? If you have enough resources, then you can build your lab in laptop. Plus, you can set up your lab in Google Cloud also. And guys, in between, we will have some entertainment fun also, guys. In between, we will discuss about each other. What are your journey so far in IT? See, guys, someone can be good in Python, right? Maybe some students are good in routing switching. Nowadays, guys, my agenda, my whole trainer's agenda is that in this competitive industry world, we don't want any to be jobless. We will make sure that every students in our batch refer each other. And why you should learn this? Because F5 is in huge demand. Trust me, guys. You can go to naukri.com. I will not represent that thing on you, but you can just visit naukri.com. You will come to know. So now let's come directly into demo session. Course content, guys, I will be covering at last to make it more entertaining. I would start directly, guys. So, guys, F5 is a company which has a product called Big IP. And in Big IP, guys, we have LTM1 module, we have DNS1 module, plus this is called SSL VPN. Plus there is one more module which is called WAF, Web Application Firewall. So this is what we will be covering, LTM and DNS. So first, let me give you some background of LTM, then we will start with GTM part, guys. So if I talk about, guys, local traffic manager, how it is deployed in production environment, plus how it is deployed in your VMware virtual edition. So you can deploy, guys, F5 in first in cloud environment. You can deploy in VMware workstation, and you can deploy as an hardware also. So I'm not going into theory part, but I will give you some theory background, what is required. So now, guys, why F5 load balancer is required? Why I should force customers to come to me, guys? Now the requirement comes even in interview, guys. People will ask you first question is, what are the advantages of F5? As a company, why I should install F5? Your customer will directly call to you, or your sales engineer that why should I go with F5? So first advantage is, guys, this is based on Linux operating system. It's user friendly. And guys, third thing is support. F5 support is very, very good. You can call them, they will come it. Plus, fourth thing, guys, see, whenever you install any product in your company, you will do POC. POC is called proof of concept, to show them that if I'm using LTM, how it should benefit your customer. If I'm installing GTM, how it will benefit me, guys. So that all things is advantage. Why? Because its license is free. You can practice, you can do labs, you can deploy practically your environment, customer environment in your lab, where you can test every features, guys. That is the main advantage people are going with F5 as a company. Another advantage, guys, for F5 load balancer is nowadays, guys, what is happening? Your every application, let me draw a live topology which we are following in our industry environment. So what's happening in a country, in India or anywhere, your applications are hosted over, let's say, DMZ environment. Here is one application called SIANETS.com, which is hosted in my DMZ server. Now, if someone client is sitting on internet, so how the traffic will flow? We will have router, then we will have perimeter firewall, then F5 is coming into picture. Then there will be servers. So same application will be deployed on, let's say this is server 1, another server will be server 2. So this is where your F5 comes into picture. So F5 can be deployed, guys, as one arm mode, and F5 can be deployed as a two arm mode architecture also. Another advantage is, guys, previously what was happening was without load balancer. This was when F5 or load balancer is coming into picture. But let's say I don't have load balancer into picture. Let's say I don't have F5 company which I have installed. So how was the traffic flow? In that case, guys, what will happen is, let me draw one more diagram here. You have internet, then you have a firewall, let's say. After that, directly there is a server where your application is hosted. Guys, never confused with the application. What is application? Application is nothing, but it is a server where your websites are hosted. Maybe sianets.com, google.com. There can be many websites. So it can be called a web server or app server. So these are the two concepts which people call. Some will say that it's an application server which I need to load balance. Some people will say it's a web server which I want to deploy. So these are the technologies which comes into picture. So your application get hosted in your server. So what was happening when we don't have F5 load balancer into picture? In that case, your traffic comes into F firewall. Firewall will forward all traffic, whether client 1, client 2, client 3, or client 4. So every traffic will go to your server 1 only. So what is disadvantage here, guys? Disadvantage is, let's say this server only have a capability to handle 100 requests. Okay, but now I am getting thousand of requests, which is firewall is forwarding to the server directly. I'm getting thousand of requests. So what is the disadvantage, guys? In that case, first is overutilized. Your server will be overutilized. Second thing is slowness issues. And one more disadvantage, guys, would be if this server goes down. Let's say customer says that I want my application to be 24/7 accessible. I want my application to be 24/7 accessible. In that case, if this server goes down, guys, your application will be down. So that is why it is very important, guys, that you should take care when your server goes down. You should have some other solution, right? And that is why there is a scenario came into picture of load balancer. So nowadays, guys, you should understand the design. So whenever you are into any profile, guys, your journey will start from operations. After that, you might be go to implementation role. After that, you might go to design role. So in that case, guys, you should understand where your why F5 should get deployed. What are the requirements which should take care? So I will be covering from all this perspective. So if I talk about, guys, F5 LTM, so in this case, your F5 will be coming after, mostly cases it will come after firewall. So let's say this is firewall, this is internet, and then there is a F5. Then there are three servers: server 1, server 2, server 3. So what I need to do is, your F5 can be deployed in one arm mode, or it can be deployed in two arm mode. So that are the two strategy. So what is one arm mode, guys? So one arm mode means that only F5 single interface will be used. Two arm means F5 will have two interfaces, one here, one here. So if I draw a diagram or a use case for a one arm mode means, let's say I have an internet client sitting over internet, then traffic is coming to firewall, then I have a server, then I have an F5. So I'm just talking about design perspective of one arm deployment of F5. So in one arm mode, what will happen is, guys, your traffic will come from client internet setting. Here the client is setting, let's say client 1. So let's say he wants to connect to SIANETS.com. So traffic will come to firewall. After that, traffic will go to F5. So in this case, what will happen is, after that F5 will check whether my server is directly connected to a layer 2 switch, and after that server or server gateway's firewall. So in that case, guys, your incoming traffic will be coming to F5. Your website is generally hosted on your F5 when F5 is coming into picture. In that case, what will happen? F5 will check, oh, I don't have my server directly connected network. In that case, you have a routing. So routing is pointing against to firewall. So incoming traffic will also go to firewall, and outgoing traffic is also going to firewall. So that is where your one arm interface comes into picture. F5 only one interface is used. Same interface will be used for incoming traffic, and same interface will be used for outgoing traffic, guys. Very, very important concept, guys. This question will be asked in every interview. What is difference between one arm mode and a two arm mode? So your single interface is coming into picture here, because most of the time, guys, your applications are internet hosted. Your servers are mostly on AWS nowadays, or Azure, or Google Cloud. In that case, guys, you will have routing. F5 will never have a direct connectivity. So there is a default route towards F5, which will point to firewall, and firewall will then send traffic to a server. So what is happening? Your single interface, one arm means Single interface will be used for incoming and outgoing traffic. And in this case, guys, common network will be used where your client and servers are connected. So there will be a common network where your clients and servers are connected. Now, guys, what is two-arm mode? This was a one-arm architecture deployment. What will happen? What will be the configuration, guys? First, guys, you will configure management IP. Let's say you're not sitting in data center. You will assign one data center engineer. He will configure your management IP. By default, guys, F5 has management port. But when you take a console, F5, you will connect a laptop to your console port. So first thing is, guys, this is second important topic. What are the things required to configure F5 from scratch? In that case, first you will configure management IP. Second, you will configure license. Third thing, you will consider network configuration. So that is called one arm mode. Now, if I talk about, guys, two arm mode architecture, what does two arm mode architecture means in F5? Two arm means we have client coming into picture, we have another client coming into picture. Now, let's say I have a front end architecture. Guys, this is very important. Try to understand in detail. Now, I have backend also. Now, after that, in backend, I have a servers where your original application is hosted. So F5 is just a whip, logical. Whip is just a logical concept. So your traffic hits your whip and then it will go to your servers. So 2 arm means, guys, there will be one external network and there will be one internal network where your servers will be connected. So that is called 2 arm mode architecture. So there will be two session, guys. Whenever you heard a term F5, guys, in any company, there is a term called full proxy architecture. What does full proxy architecture means? You will have one TCP handshake, three-way handshake from client to F5, one three-way handshake from F5 to server. That is called full proxy architecture design, guys. If I open this now, this is where full proxy architecture comes. This is the third important concept, whether it's an LTM or a GTM. Now, in that case, you will have three-way handshake from client to F5. SYN packet will be sent, then SYN acknowledgement, then acknowledgement will be sent. So only, guys, whenever this three-way handshake is successful, then there will be HTTP GET. Until F5 receives an HTTP GET packet, there will be no handshake from F5 to the server. That is why it is called full proxy architecture. So we will cover this in detail future. Now, guys, if I talk about LTM lab topology, so I'll be deploying GTM and LTM. If I will be doing GTM lab, this will be my lab topology in your environment. I will come across GTM after 2 to 3 minutes. But first, let's understand the lab topology of LTM. So in LTM, guys, what I will do is I will have a workstation. Let's say workstations can be any. Then I will have F5. I will have one layer 2 switch. Then I will have one layer 2 switch here. Then my all servers. So I will be taking 3 servers, guys. red server, green server, and blue servers in my topology, where my same application will be deployed, sianets.com. Main logic of F5 is, guys, to make sure that one server does not get overloaded. My traffic comes to F5. F5 will send some traffic to server 1, some traffic to server 2, some traffic to server 3. That is the main logic of load balancer. And F5 follows load balancing algo approach here. So the topics which I will be covering, guys, trust me, this will be asked in interviews. Plus, it will help you in understanding and deploying your architecture also. So first advantage is, guys, your load balancing will happen properly. Second advantage is, guys, there will be redundancy. Let's say if this server goes down, your traffic will handle by this server and this server. Because there can be multiple client, right, coming to internet. You cannot stop it. Let's say there are sianets.com, which you have deployed over internet. Now you cannot control, right, how many users you want to connect because you want traffic. Your customer comes to you, they want 24 into 7 availability. So another advantage is, guys, availability. When you install load balancer, you have an availability. 24 into 7 availability of your architecture. Fourth advantage is, guys, that health monitor. Important topic of F5, guys, health monitor. What does it says? If I talk about health monitor, guys, please understand carefully. In normal scenario, guys, let's say I don't have F5. I have a firewall. I have an internet coming into picture. Then I have server directly. Firewall does not have a capability to see whether this server is up or down. There is no capability. In this case, let's say sianets.com is hosted. If that server goes down, there is no way that traffic should go to second server. And there is no way to track whether this server is down or up. Now, when we introduced F5, guys, F5 also don't have health monitor by default. You need to enable. So if you don't have health monitor, guys, what is the disadvantage? I will again draw a topology, guys. I have internet, I have firewall, I have F5, I have three servers coming into picture. Server 1, server 2, server 3. In that case, guys, let's say if this server goes down and I have a load balancing algo. There are load balancing algo which we will discuss. By default, there is round robin. So what does round robin means? Let's take three clients, client 1, client 2, client 3. So your traffic of this server, let's go to F5. F5 will first send traffic to this server. Even if it's down, F5 will send it. It will follow round robin. So what will happen in this case, guys? There will be intermittent outage. Why, guys? Because whenever request goes to down server, there will be slowness issues. Because there is no way to track whether this server is down or up. Now request will go to second server, then page will up. It will go like this. So I should have some mechanism to track that if this server is down, F5 should not send a request to down server. All your traffic, whether it's client 3, client 1, client 2, it should only go to up servers. That is where, guys, health monitor comes into picture. You should understand this very carefully. Now, guys, let's come into, we have discussed about core concepts of a topology. Now, guys, what are the nomenclatures? If I talk about big IP, LTM, important terms. So I have a client, then I have F5, then I have 3 servers. So F5 LTM has a node concept, then F5 LTM has a pool member concept, then F5 has a concept called WIP, whether you have LTM or whether you are deploying GTM, guys. You should understand this concept carefully because these are the base for deploying any box, whether LTM, GTM, or ASM. You should understand what is node, what is pool member, and what is virtual IP. So in this case, what will happen is now you will see node is just an IP address of your server where your application, it's just an IP address. Pool member is an IP address plus port number. This server might be listening on 80.443. You should understand that in carefully. So that is called pool member. And what is virtual IP? So node is just an IP address. Let's say this is 10.2.2.30. This is 10.2.2.31. This is 10.2.2.32. So node is just an IP address. But guys, whenever you open any page of your website, it is either HTTP or it is either HTTPS. So your server might be listening on some port that is called pool member. It's a combination of IP plus port. Now, what is virtual IP, guys? Virtual IP is nothing but URL of your website where your all client will connect. So client will never come to know on which server your request is going. Client only knows that I need to connect to my virtual IP. Let's say my virtual IP of SIANETS.com is 192.168.1.60. So your all request will go to this IP. Then it is problem of F5. It will forward traffic. It's up to them. Client only knows about this connection. That is where your virtual server comes into picture. So virtual server is something that allows F5 to send traffic, receive traffic, and process traffic. So virtual IP will receive traffic, can send traffic, and can process traffic also. That is an architecture flow. And we already discussed that F5 has two type of connection. One is client side connection, that is front end also, and another one server side traffic. So these are the two architecture flow for F5, guys. Now guys, let's talk about traffic flow. Let's say I have a website. My customer comes to me. He is skilled Inspirational Academy. I want to deploy this website on my F5. Can you help me to deploy? So what are the requirements? So in first case, guys, whenever someone comes to you to deploy cnetsco.com, what is the first thing? You have internet, you have router, you have firewall also. I will draw one topology. You tell me what are the things required. Now I have 3 servers. First of all, can someone tell me whether this approach is 1-arm mode or this approach is 2-arm mode? Anyone? Can someone tell me whether this approach is 1-arm mode on chat or 2-arm mode? I will take Q&A later on. But on chats, can someone tell me whether this approach is 1-arm mode or 2-arm mode? So this is 2-arm mode. One interface is this, one interface is this. Now in this case, guys, when customer says you, I want to deploy cnets.com, do I need to do any changes on firewall? Anyone? What are the things required to configure on firewall? What are the things required to configure on router? And what are the things required to configure on F5? My second question is, do I need to configure DNS? Whenever someone accesses SIANETS.com on internet, what is the first thing it will do? Anyone? First thing, guys, it will do DNS resolution. So if DNS resolution is not happening, guys, then your traffic will never hit your virtual IP. So what happens in most of the case, guys, DNS can be your external or it can be internal. So you need to tell that either to ISP or either to your external DNS, you will create a record. What is a record, guys? A record is nothing but an IP address of your website. What does DNS do, guys? Anyone? Now here the concept comes of DNS, guys. That is why, guys, even automation comes into picture. Even AI, ML, anything coming into picture, your DNS will always be required. Because without DNS, you cannot access your websites. That is why I thought of starting this course together so that you can understand whole requirement. So load balancer concept will also cover, plus DNS also is covered. Now, let's talk about DNS first. What do you understand by DNS, guys? DNS is called domain name system. First, I will discuss DNS and what is the difference between DNS versus GTM. What is the topology which we will follow and why GTM is required. So guys, when I talk about DNS, guys, in DNS traffic, my main purpose of understanding DNS is internet is huge. Each device connected to internet is assigned a unique IP, whether it's a laptop or it's a switch or it's a firewall. Every device which is connected to internet will have IP address assigned to it. So IP address can be 192.168.1.x. So can you remember, let's say sianets.com is 192.168.1.x. You don't know the domain name. Can you remember this IP address? No, guys. We cannot remember which website has which IP address. That is why, can you know what is the IP address of google.com? When you access google.com, do you ever imagine which IP is it? So you just type google.com and you will get a page. So domain name were invested, DNS was invested to resolve name to IP. Simple meaning of DNS. And for every website, whether it's sianets.com or it is google.com, every website is having a record or it is called DNS record. So guys, whenever you deploy any website on F5, like sianets.com, you need to create a record in DNS to say that, hey, DNS team, my sianets.com website has an IP address 192.168.1.60. I need to make sure that whenever traffic comes to you, it should get resolved sianets.com to this IP. So what DNS will do? DNS will have a record and it will send traffic to F5. So once DNS resolution is successful, guys, then your traffic will go to server 1, server 2, server 3. So now traffic flow, guys, we understand the logic of DNS. Now guys, let's say I have a client, I have LDNS. I'm now talking about DNS traffic flow. Very, very important, guys. Even you are a fresher, you should understand this, how DNS works. Then I will have root name server, top level name server, and this is called domain name server, where the actual domain name is hosted. So whenever you open in browser, let's say you are sitting in front of browser, you type sianets.com. So guys, whenever you type address bar, hit enter. What you see? What is the first thing it will check? So first it will always check whether you have sianets.com record in DNS cache. Very, very important, guys. Here, most of the students miss this point. When we talk about DNS traffic flow, guys, always make sure that your traffic should first check on DNS cache. Whether I have sianets.com record is in my DNS cache or not. If there is a record, guys, in DNS cache, then your DNS lookup will be skipped. It will not go to root server, top level domain or not. It will just take a record and you will open your website. There is no DNS lookup further on. You will directly be taken to sianets.com. Now, now I will do one thing. Now, in DNS cache, you did not find an entry. There is no sianets.com record. We talked about A record, guys. So there are different records. I will talk about A record. Then there is NS record, name server. Then there is C name record. For IPv6, there is strip 4As. So if there is no record in DNS cache, in that case, guys, what will happen is I will just remove this. Traffic will first come to local DNS. Local DNS, there is no record in cache. Traffic will first send to local DNS, LDNS server. So this is either can be your ISP provider or it is basically your resolving server, which will forward the request to further. Now, guys, so local DNS will forward your request first to root name server to locate the record of sianets.com. That is the first thing it will do, LDNS. So root name servers basically are designated. There are around 16 root name servers around the world that are responsible to store your DNS data. Now guys, if record is sent here and it is found, then it will answer your client. But guys, root name server says that I don't have a record for sianets.com. But it says that I have an entry for .com. I know where the .com resource is located. So that is where concept comes of top level domain. So top level domain is .com, .org. So that are called top level. So root name server says that I don't have a record for sianets.com, but I have a record of .com. I know that where the .com is, so it will give the referral. So guys, let's say your manager says that I know that Hemu is good in Palo Alto, Vidit is good in F5. So I got a project. I am a manager. I got a project for F5. I will send to Vidit. Hey Vidit, can you manage this project? So manager will say, I don't know right now who knows F5 or Palo Alto, but let me check with my team who is free. So it will give a referral of Vidit, that Vidit is good in F5. So he will send a IP of Vidit so that it will go to Vidit first. Now guys, there is a concept of recursive and iterative. Today I'm not covering this. This will be covered later on. This is important concept because there are a lot of things to be covered. So in this case, guys, what will happen? Your record was first gone to root name server. Root name server says that I only know the IP of top level domain. Now it will give a referral of top level domain root server. So now it will come to top level. In top level domain, it will check for sianets.com record. It will say that I don't know, I don't have a record. So next step is top level. Level dot name server will say that I don't have an IP address of sianets.com, but I can send a request in right direction. I know that where the sianets.com is hosted. Now it will give IP of this, that you send a request of sianets.com to this domain. So this domain is name server. Name server is nothing where your original data is hosted. So now it will go to sianets.com to this domain. First it go to root name server. Root name server does not have a record. Then it forward to top level domain. Top level domain also does not have a record. Then it will send to sianets.com where the original sianets.com is hosted. Now this will have an IP address of sianets.com. Now client will get sianets.com IP address. Now what is the case, guys? Now client got an IP address of the website. Your DNS resolution is completed, guys. Now next step is, guys, this VIP is hosted where? It will be hosted on F5 LTM. Your GTM role is finished. You got an IP address, that is all. Now next traffic will be your client will directly go to and it will send an HTTP request. After that, there will be simple LTM load balancing will happen. Either it will go to server 1, server 2 or server 3. So that is normal DNS flow. How DNS is published. Very, very important, guys. And guys, you will many times heard about name servers. What are name servers? Guys, name server are nothing, but it is a server which will hold all DNS records of your website. Whatever you access over the internet, it will store all websites here. And there will be a zone file which will be created. It will have every entry, whether A record, C name, every record will be stored here on your name server. So it will either be managed by your hosting provider or it by ISP. Whoever where you are hosting, let's say GoDaddy.com. So GoDaddy.com will provide you name server IP address. So there are many name server and it will store your record of your website. So that was all about DNS. Now let's come into GTM concept. What is the difference between GTM and LTM? So please stay with me. I will cover now about GTM topics and all. So guys, the main objective for today class was to understand DNS concepts and terminology, like how the traffic will first go to DNS cache, how then it will forward to local DNS. Then local DNS will forward the request to root server, root name server. Root name server will forward the request to TLD name server. After the TLD, there will be a authoritative or where the original domain is hosted. So that was all about your DNS concept and why DNS is required. So this we have discussed. Now what is the next topic? So guys, there is a concept of iQuery, Sing group, GSLB terminology and load balancing deployment method. So next topics, we will cover this. How GTM will communicate with LTM boxes. We will Now understand this. So let's go one by one. So we have already discussed the domain name system. Basically, it is easy to remember domain name that rather than IP address. So that is why we require DNS. So it is an hierarchical distributed naming system. Either it's computer, server, or any other resources. Now, what are the record types which are available, guys? First record is A record, guys. This is very, very important. Whether you give interview for DNS, whether you give interview for network industry or a security industry, or let's say for F5 GTM, even in exam, these are the records which will be asked in interview, guys. So A record is nothing, but it is called a host record. So there will be an A record for every website like this. SIANETS.com is pointing to 192, 168, 1.60. Google.com is pointing to 192, 168, 1.61. So that is example of A record. So this record links a domain to an IP address. So that is called A record, guys. Now another record which comes into picture, we will discuss in detail how to create CNAME record. Let's say that I have an example.com, but I have a alias name, means let's say your name is Anshul, but at your home you have a short name which is called Ansh. So in this case, guys, CNAME records are. Sometimes you say that if someone visits sianets.com or if someone visit abc.cnets.com, it should always go to sianets.com. Alias name for a domain. Now another record which is called NS record, guys. Very, very important record. Name server, which I was talking about. So guys, this is where your ISP will have a name server. So every domain, whichever you publish on your internet, there will be primary name server and secondary name server. So this record will determine on which server I should forward my request. So guys, don't worry, this we will cover in detail, but these are the records which are very, very important. Now, another very, very important concept, how companies implement in DNS. This is very, very important architecture deployment phenomena. So there are hosted DNS providers, guys. So they take directly service from a DNS provider, GoDaddy. There are many other hosting provider, Alibaba.com, hosting Raja. Let's say, guys, I want to. So let me tell my live example. I want to deploy cnets.com. Every people now wants their website. Let's say you are an educational institute. So first, what you want, you need to make your website. Second thing, you need to publish on internet. Third thing, you require a secure certificate. So who will give you this DNS? Who will make sure that this website will publish on internet? So you will need to create a domain. You need to purchase a domain. So I purchased this domain from GoDaddy.com or Alibaba.com and I paid a money. So that is where your DNS provider comes into picture. So they will ask you money. Now if I open this website, guys, sianets.com, so you will see that. So this is on internet. I have to renew my website every year and I will go to my DNS provider. Even if I have any issues, my DNS provider will help me, guys. So that is the first way your companies implement your DNS. Now let's go further on. What are the pros for this, guys? So every facilities has some advantages, that is called pros, and disadvantages. So every topic, guys, what we discussed are very, very important. You will understand what we will teach and how we can implement. First thing, guys, easier admin. You don't need anything. You just call to DNS provider and they will host your website. Bandwidth usage, reliability, protection against DDoS. Smaller organization. It is for smaller organization. So it's a good solution for smaller organization, which is there into picture. Now, guys, another thing is where cons. What are the disadvantages for this? Disadvantages for this is, let's see. I will go further on. So basically, it is expensive. It is control. You don't have control over this. So whatever you need a changes, you will go to service provider that I need to improve something. So that is where this is the disadvantage of your cons. Now let's go further on. So I'm just showing you what are the ways to implement DNS and how you can. Second thing, guys, your DNS can be run on your servers. Let's say you have an IT department called AT&T. In AT&T, you have a DNS team who is managing your whole DNS. So they will run either DNS server on Linux or Windows. So in our topology also, guys, I will show you that in our topology, we will have our GTM boxes, we will have our LTM boxes, and we will also have our Linux DNS. We will have DC-DR architecture that you will come to know slowly why DC-DR or DC-DC. But you just understand the different way to implement DNS. First was service provider through. Second was your internal IT. Your internal IT is organizing your DNS. It is controlled by company's IT department. Now, what is the advantage and disadvantage for this? Let's see. In this case, guys, you have a control because you have your own IT. So, guys, if I need to publish sianets.com on my F5, so first what I need to do, guys, can anyone tell me I need to deploy sianets.com? My customer is coming from internet. They are sitting on external. So my DNS record will be managed by whom, guys? Anyone, guys. See, as an F5 engineer, I don't care. I want my website to be resolving to this VIP. My cnnets.com should be resolving to 192.168.1.60. But where I need to create this record? Anyone, guys. If you understand this, guys, you will slowly see. My logic is to not run fast. My logic should be until you understand the topic, I will not proceed. Can anyone tell me that I need to publish this website where I need to create this record? My DNS is managed by my IT department. This is my question. My DNS is running on Linux server, which is controlled by my company's IT department. So where I should create a record and which team I should reach. So guys, for this, I will reach to my DNS team. I will call to DNS team. Hey, DNS team, let's say DNS team is managed by Manish. I will call Manish. Manish, hey Manish, how are you? Can you make a record for this? I want that all users who are accessing cnnets.com, they should come to F5. And Manish will ask, okay, can you open one ticket? And can you provide me the IP address? So guys, that is the control. So you have a control. It's flexible, free. Let's say if I change an IP address, it's flexible. I will call Manish and ask him to change it to 192.168.1.61. What are the cons? So we need to hire an internal resource. That is the cost and complex. DNS is complex. So you should have some engineer who is very good in DNS. But don't worry, after this course, guys, you will be able to manage LTM, DNS plus GTM also. Plus, guys, if you want to be good in info blocks, nowadays, guys, there is a concept of IPAM. So there are many things which you can have. Everything will require your DNS. So that is why it's in huge demand. Now, guys, some people will have split DNS. So what does split DNS? You must have heard about terms about split tunnel. So that is where split DNS come. Some people will host in-house DNS. Some website will be hosting on in-house, and some website will be hosted on hosted DNS provider. So in that case, guys, you will have a zone file. So zone file is nothing. There is a zone which you will create. Let's say example.com. So he will have every entries, every record. So I will discuss about what is zone, how to create zones. So even in F5, if I open this, let me go to my F5. I will go to admin. So guys, F5 GTM can be deployed two ways. Either your GTM can be deployed on same box where your LTM is. Either you will have separate GTM and separate LTM. In my topology, guys, I have two environment. This is DC. Let's say this is hosted in US data center. This is hosted in UK data center. So in my case, I will have separate GTM box. I will have separate LTM box. And guys, don't worry about resources. I made my lab on Google Cloud. So there is a very good documentation. We have a video also. So what I have created, I went to Google Cloud. I created an instance, guys. Can you see this? It is giving me 90 days free access. Even guys, you want to create F5 LTM, you can create. Even you want to create Palo Alto Lab, SD-WAN Lab. Nowadays, you can create on Google Cloud. See, best way is to on your laptop if you have good resource. But if you have issues, Google Cloud, they will give you lab access. I have also built my lab on Google Cloud. So I have a separate GTM box at DC environment, DR environment. So if this environment goes down, my traffic will go from this to this. And these are my LTM boxes, LTM at DC, LTM box at DR. I have DNS servers also, two at DC, two at DR. I have switch at DC one, and router is connecting both your DC to DR infrastructure. So this is a topology which I will be following for lab purpose, guys. I will make sure that you also do the lab on your laptops or Google Cloud. Plus you will get lab setup guides also with this, plus study materials. So let's go further on, guys. So we have already discussed how does DNS work. So it's a pictorial representation. First, it will go to DNS cache. Then it will go to root server. After that, what it will do? It will go to .com subdomain. Root server will say that I only know .com IP address. So it will go to .com, or then .com will say that I have .domain. After that, it will go to your host server. So that is how this www.domain.com resolution is working. Very, very important, guys. First, it goes to your root server. Root server will give IP address of .com. .com will give you referral of domain, and domain.com will have a referral of www. And this website is hosted on your original server. And what does FQDN mean? It's called fully qualified domain name. This is called FQDN. Trust me, guys, if you follow this process, you will able to correct any interview of DNS. This is the question which will be asked. See, now step by step, user will browse domain.com. Next step, this is the first step in our topology. Second step, it will send a request. Hey, I don't found that on DNS cache. Now your user request will go to LDNS. Hey LDNS, is there any record of www.domain.com? Now, this is the second step. After that, it will go to root DNS server. Can you see this? It will say that go to and ask .com name server. Second, now request will go to w. So it will check, is there any record of www.domain.com? Then it will say that go and ask domain.com server. See, now last thing, it will go to domain.com DNS server. Finally, there will be a record. After that, client will make a three-way handshake with this. So that is how DNS works. That is how DNS traffic flows. Now, let's go further on. Now, after that, browser will open a connection on address this and will send a GET request to web server. And now finally your web server will send a response page. So this is the whole traffic flow, guys, how DNS works. Limitations of a DNS, guys. This is very, very important. From here, you will understand why GTM is required. See, there is no high availability, guys. There is no way that, let's say my DNS is hosted in a data center. If it goes down, there is no DR environment. And DNS cannot determine whether your website sianets.com is up or not. There is no way of health monitor, guys. I was talking about health monitor, right? There is no way that your DNS determine that if your website is up or not. Now, it only supports round robin, guys. Can you see this? DNS will very, very important. DNS will continue to resolve to a site even site is down, guys. Even your website is down, it will continue to resolve to that website. That is, see, these are the disadvantages. If someone asks you why I need GTM, so this will turn into advantages of GTM. So that is why I'm saying it's important. Another case, there is no way to persist. Stateful inspection, stateful persistence, guys. I want my client request should go to only one server. Whenever he access flipkart.com, it should go only to one server. It should not go to server 2, server 3. So there is no way of cookie persistence in DNS, which F5 provides you. It requires manual intervention, guys. You need to go to your DNS engineers and change it. it can be vulnerable to DDoS attack, guys. There is no way of DNS security, guys, here. But when we implement GTM, guys, there is a separate topic of DNS security. Now, guys, DNS listener. Now, from here, guys, your GTM comes into picture. What is listener, guys? This is the important term which comes into GTM box, guys. Let's see. So GTM listener is nothing but an IP address listening on port, guys. DNS works on which port, guys? Anyone? Does DNS works on TCP or UDP? Anyone, guys? So what I will do, guys, now, I will unmute you all. So let's have some interactive. I will stop recording.